Hey everyone, welcome to the KCGN Podcast. We're back after a short 1 week absence. Sorry about that. We kind of had to get some stuff in order. Real life happened, but we are back in full force this week. Daniel, I think you were telling me we got a lot of hits on the last episode. We got a lot of
more than all of the rest combined.
Yes, over 300, which doesn't seem too big. But we're
baby steps.
Baby steps. We're moving up in the YouTube ranks, and then probably gonna maybe fall back down. But eventually we will.
Just make sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got more content coming. We have more unboxing videos.
Yes,
Let's Plays.
You'll probably notice we. By the time this episode goes up, you'll probably see my unboxing video of the Amiibo Retro 3-pack featuring the Rob, Mr. Game & Watch, and Duck Hunt Dog Amiibo. So definitely check that out. And then we're going to be doing a couple other special things, which we will announce later on in the episode. So, in this episode, got some exciting stuff in store. So stay tuned for more information on that. So, kind of dive into our first topic for this week. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is coming soon. A lot of people are excited about it. Me personally, I'm not really too interested. I want to play Advanced Warfare because it seems to have some really interesting mechanical differences from all the other games. But Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is kind of unique in the sense that its campaign is most Call of Duty campaigns are usually single player affairs. But Black Ops 3 Treyarch is kind of going back to what they did with Call of Duty World at War, and they're making it a full-on co-op experience, which is interesting. With World at War, it felt kind of tossed in. This one is actually being designed around being a co-op experience. This is very cool, I think. So, unfortunately, it sounds like they have decided to remove the entire story campaign from the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions of the game.
Is there a Wii U version?
There is no Wii U version that I know of. That there could be. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be on Wii U, though.
Coming to Wii.
Oh, yeah. That is something EA would do, I believe. They actually did do that.
With FIFA.
With FIFA, yeah.
FIFA.
So, they did say that the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions of Black Ops 3 would include multiplayer and zombies. What are your thoughts on this, Daniel? By the way, the price point for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions of the game is $50 instead of $60, which is what it's going to cost on the current gen consoles. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's fine to an extent, but I mean mostly people play those games for multiplayer. I don't know anybody that plays it for single player other than more of people I'm friends with.
I do,
like people like you.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like the main target audience does not care about it that much.
Right. I just feel like $50, that's only $10 off the total price of the package. They've taken out a third of the entire game.
I would make it 40 or 30.
Yeah.
If I was Activision.
Well, if you were Activision, I don't think we'd be talking on this podcast right now.
Well,
but
I think I'd be not making a crappy Tony Hawk game.
Yes, that was another thing that Activision has kind of been accused of recently. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 recently came out. They were hyping it up. We watched the trailer actually for it, and it looks awful. The game was released and it looks awful. It is very glitchy. One thing I discovered actually is that when you buy the physical version of the game, you put the disc in, the data on the disc is somewhere around maybe I think 4 gigs. It's actually like a demo of the game. And the game has to download a 7 gig patch to complete the rest of it. So
you're seeing a lot of games these days not have actual anything on the disc, like Metal Gear Solid 5.
That's a completely different case.
Well, yeah.
I'm not seeing a lot of games like that because that's only the PC version of the game. That's only in Europe.
I think you're going to start seeing that more.
It's hard to say. I feel like, because that's just because with Metal Gear Solid 5, that's just how, that's more of just how Steam's installer works, and they were able to do that. Now, if you don't have an internet connection and you're wanting to play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, you're going to be locked out of like 90% of the game because you just have a demo. And I feel like that's not great because you still have a lot of people today who do not have an internet connection or are not able to connect their consoles to the internet.
I haven't played Tony Hawk 5, but I've seen
same
how buggy it is.
Yes,
and to release a buggy game like that, even buggier than Bethesda game.
From what I've heard, it's actually, I think it's getting worse reviews than Tony Hawk Ride.
It has like a 27 Metacritic.
It's impressive.
I don't put a lot of weight in.
It's
I'm
impressive.
not big on like number scores, but if it's that low, that is concerning.
Yeah, I feel like if you are if you're making a Tony Hawk game and you're getting lower scores than Tony Hawk Ride, you're doing something wrong. But yeah, some questionable stuff. I feel like my final or going back to our original topic there with Black Ops 3, I feel like, $50 is still way too high, especially if they've taken out 30% or 30, like a third of the content in the game. That's just not right. Something's wrong there.
And I've usually enjoyed the older campaigns. I don't know about the newer ones. The newer ones, it just started getting stale.
I feel like Black Ops 2, I think, was the one that was like the future or something. Is that right? Yeah, it was Black Ops 2. I played some of that. It had some really cool visual designs, I felt. There were some really, really interesting.
I own that on Wii U.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I also played through Call of Duty Ghosts. I never finished Black Ops 2, and I kind of regret it because it actually looks really interesting. And it has some really interesting visual design. And that's kind of what you play those games, single-player campaigns for. You play them for the visuals. You don't really play them for the story or the gameplay because, it's Call of Duty. But I played Call of Duty Ghosts. That was an abysmal piece of trash. I did not care for it at all.
I stopped caring after Modern Warfare 2 because that's when it's
Modern Warfare 2 is when it started going downhill. It still had some really cool visuals though. Like it had, all the stuff with Washington D.C. Spoiler alert, by the way, guys, if you haven't played Modern Warfare 2.
It had everyone. This is kind of forgotten, but it had that really controversial level that you could choose not to even play.
That's true. Yes, the no Russian level, which is an airport shooting, which I feel like today would probably be met with even harsher criticism than it was back then, which is weird to think about.
But they gave you a choice.
They did give you a fair warning. They said this level has disturbing content. You may not want to play this.
Was it that you were undercover?
So I think in the story you played as some dude, Adams, something I don't know, some guy with a generic American name. He's a Marine. You're in Afghanistan. You're fighting the Op 4, and you do such a good job in your operation that Bishop from Aliens walks up to you and says, "Wow, you're awesome. Welcome to the CIA," and you're it's Call of Duty, so your character never talks. So, you go undercover in the CIA to infiltrate a group of the Russian extremists from Call of Duty 4. They have been working undercover, kind of influencing the Russian government from the shadows since the events of that game, and so, they plan to shoot up an airport. You don't know why, but you want to show your loyalty to them, so you join them. And then you shoot up the airport, and then they kill you at the end. So when the police come into the airport to see who did this, they only find you, and they identify you as an American soldier, and then the Russians invade America. Yeah. So
basically,
which you wouldn't know from playing the game because all this is explained in little text blurbs that you don't have time to read in the cutscenes between levels because they were rushed through development.
Yeah, after that game, I liked World at War's campaign.
Yeah, World at War, I feel, did a really good job at
That was the last World War II.
It did a fantastic. I feel like it was a perfect last World War II game too, because it did such a good job at really capturing that World War II and kind of atmosphere.
The
you know
grittiness of it.
Yeah, like I remember one part of that game I remember so distinctly was it was the beach landing level in the American campaign, and you're landing on the beach. And as you're walking across the beach, you like hear the echo of the speakers like from the battleships off the coast, just like the calling out those artillery fire coordinates and whatnot. It sounds so cool. It's really fantastic audio design. And it's disappointing that they really haven't managed to match that in any of the future games after that. So.
I'd like to see a comeback of more older shooters.
So they did go back to World War II in Black Ops, which I thought was a really cool flashback.
I never played that one.
In Black Ops, you meet up with the Russian guy from World of War. The Russian, I don't know his name because it's a Call of Duty character, but
yeah, I only know Soap.
Yeah.
And someone's
but it was the Russian guy that kind of guides you.
A Muppet like you pass inspection.
What kind of name is Soap anyway?
What in the hell kind of name is Soap anyway?
So anyways, it's a Russian guy from World of War. You meet him in Black Ops, and he's kind of retelling the last time. You play as him in a flashback mission, and you meet the player character from the Russian campaign from World of War, and you kind of go through this mission together in some Arctic environment, and it's during World War II, so you're fighting Nazis, and then there's some experiment that you get captured and put through. You watch the player character from World War die in front of your eyes, which is really, as far as Call of Duty goes, that they did a good job of conveying that emotion there.
Wow.
But they
well, that was supposed to be a lot of Vietnam era, right?
It was, yeah. There's a flashback, and then the British show up, and they start trying to kill you, and then you get access to the British weapons that were originally supposed to be in World at War, but were cut because there were some British missions that got cut out of the game, and there's apparently going to be a full British campaign on World at War that got cut.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So,
yeah. But anyway.
But it's really cool to see them kind of bringing back that cut content. Yeah. So
anyways, we got our next topic is the unreleased South Park.
Speaking of cut content, some guy, I don't remember what he's part of. He's part of some rival podcast, I think. So we're not going to talk about it. I can't remember what he was part of, what show he was part of. But he was in Oregon, and he was at an auction. He found an Xbox or an original Xbox development kit, and apparently it had been owned previously by an employee of the studio that was working on some of the Tomb Raider games, like I think Tomb Raider Legends and whatnot. I forget the name of the studio. It was not Crystal Dynamics, though.
I'm not sure.
This studio, anyways, they were bought by Zynga, I believe, and then they stopped. They basically canceled all their games and started working on stuff for Zynga. So one of these games is a South Park game, and it was going to be like an open world GTA style thing. It was I think they described it as a Simpsons hit and run.
Yeah,
play.
Simpsons hit and run was a.
It was it wasn't mostly complete. It was very unfinished. Character models seemed to be done. I don't watch South Park, so I don't know the main character's name. I think Cartman is the character's name.
Yeah,
that right?
That's one of them.
His house was fully modeled and detailed, and it was apparently very, very faithful to the show. And then you had the whole entirety of South Park to explore. It looked like a very detailed environment, very ambitious game, too. So, very interesting stuff there. And this is all found in some dev kit that this guy found in an auction in Oregon. So
I would have loved to have been the guy. I'm surprised your dad hasn't run into something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's really exciting to see a new canceled game kind of pop up. You don't really see a lot of canceled content and canceled games from the Xbox era nowadays, and I feel like we're going to start seeing more and more of it as that gets as the Xbox becomes older and older, we're going to start seeing these dev kits being sold because NDAs are being lifted or something.
Yeah.
So,
well, anything from that generation.
Yeah, there are a couple of other canceled games on there that I can't remember the names of, but yeah, some really cool stuff there. So our next topic, the PS4 update.
Was it 3.0?
3.0, and that just came out today, actually, which I believe is.
I'm not
today's
sure.
The first.
You know what it did?
So the PS4 update, I know it added groups. So if any of our listeners use Steam, Steam has groups. It's basically like that. You can create groups. You can also create events now. So
yeah, I noticed there was events. I thought it was something I just didn't notice before.
100% sure what the events are. I think they're like you can create, you can schedule live stream events. I think, which is pretty nifty.
Or you can have like an event of you're actually all gonna like play.
Maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure.
Schedule like
I have
a time to play like multiplayer game of something, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Now
I haven't actually looked into it yet. I haven't really looked too far into it, but I am looking forward to checking out some more of the new features that have been added. I know. I think live streaming to YouTube is now available as a feature, so that's pretty cool.
Isn't that also on? No, never mind.
No, yeah.
I'm thinking of something else.
Originally, you can only stream to Twitch, and now you can stream to Twitch and YouTube. So
which
that's
YouTube
pretty cool.
is making this big push.
Yeah,
they
want to get that Twitch audience with YouTube gaming. So we're going to see how that turns out. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Good competition.
Yeah,
Twitch is actual competition.
Now, Dan, I think this next topic you informed me about we actually got a post on our page about it as well. The voice actor blackout.
Yeah, the voice actor blackout. It's that might happen. That's if 75% of the the union of the Screen Actors Guild, if they vote yes, there would be a blackout because of what. Like there was I think there's some new demands.
I believe it was a potential bill or something. It was not a bill. It was something that was being proposed by was it the Electronic Frontier Foundation? No, I forget the name of the organization. So, anyways, it was something that was going to be proposed that would allow studios to basically inflict much more strict policies upon voice actors, such as
like more fines.
Yeah,
like if you show up late, you can get fined $2,500 or something. Yeah.
So some ridiculous stuff, and of course, I assume that would be cut out of your.
And this
paycheck.
is like a lot of different employers.
From what I've read of it, and this is coming from this is what I've read of it from the group of people who are against it. So there's a very clear bias there. Because
I'm friends on Facebook with a lot of different voice actors, and I naturally want to side with them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not saying they're wrong in this at all. I'm just saying.
But I mean, looking at it, a lot of things. What they want too, they want more like residuals.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
Which I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, the thing is, what I've read of it, I feel like I haven't read a pure explanation of it. I feel like what I've read of it is through the lens of someone who is very much against it, which I can understand why I want to be against it, because what I've read says that it would allow companies to basically come up with any reason to find their voice actors to the point where they don't have to pay them. So what...
And there's a lot of like mocap issues, like that wasn't counted as like...
Yeah.
It wasn't covered under their contract.
Right. And I the thing is, I don't know, I don't know all the facts about this, and so I'm nervous about talking about it because I said, I don't know the facts.
I'm trying to remain like as fair as possible here, but because like I know people in the industry, or I talked to them before at cons and stuff, so it affects people I know. So if that goes through, if they can't come to an agreement, this could
very seriously affect the games industry. Yeah.
This is going to affect the quality of voice acting.
Oh yeah.
Well, if you're in the union,
if you remember the it was the writers' strike in Hollywood back in, what was it, 2004, I think?
No, it was like 2009.
Yeah, something like that. The writers crash, or the writers the writers blackout, the writers strike out in Hollywood. I think that actually did end up spawning the Dr. Horrible short film, which, from what I understand, was a bunch of actors that came together. They basically said, "Oh, well, we don't need writers," so they just made this very, very poorly written short film musical thing. That was Dr. Horrible, I believe.
Yeah, that was with what's his face.
And it was an intentional comedy thing. I don't know who's in it. I know
I've seen it.
The one lady.
It's really popular, I think.
Yeah, the one lady who was at the Xbox things, like, how am I supposed to use your Facebook thing? It makes no sense. What's her name? She was in.
I don't know.
She was in the Guild.
So that's where that came from, because it's like that. It's on Netflix.
Dr. Horrible. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I want to say that's what I heard. It came. It was something that was spawned out of the writer's strike. It was a bunch of actors that came together. And
I thought that came out of nowhere, because it's like this is a big time actor. In this,
because from what I understand, it was a bunch of big time actors that came together and they're like, well, let's prove we don't need writers, and then they made something with horrible writing intentionally. So,
well, it's popular.
Yeah, well, it's a comedy thing, so
that's the point. So,
speaking of popular things,
well, I want to touch.
Another
thing about it was I'm trying to remember now. Well.
I made you lose track of what you were thinking of.
Like, a lot of the demands from the voice actors, the residuals.
Yes.
Like, should they get, like, royalties or not? Like, residuals? And should they have more of a safety net for, in case they, like the mocap stuff. And the big thing about it was the intense voice acting sessions that would, like, especially fighting games, a lot of screaming would damage their vocal cord. They wanted to limit it to like 2-hour sessions.
Well, who's the guy he played? He played Officer Gordon in the Batman movies. He was the terrorist leader in Air Force One. What's his
Gary
name?
Oldman?
Yeah, Gary Oldman. He was in Call of Duty World at War as he was the Russian guy.
I don't remember.
I can't. Oh my gosh!
It didn't matter.
Well, anyways, he was the Russian guy. He was on Jimmy Kimmel Live or some late night talk show, and basically talking about his experience voice acting, and he was talking about how it strained on his voice that he had to scream for like 12 hours straight.
Yeah,
and under this thing, what seems to be being suggested by this website, which again, very biased source, not saying it's not valid, but I'm saying it's very biased.
Well, a lot of websites, this is what one of the biggest things is this.
Well, it's very biased, but I want to make it a point that it is very biased, very rightly so. But what they have basically said is that if your voice is getting strained and you're basically physically incapable of performing.
Because that is your jewel.
As well as they want you to, then they can actually fine you for that, and they can take that out of your final paycheck. So what seems to be the case here, based on this, again, very biased insight here, or very biased, basically, collection of information, seems to be that these companies are basically wanting to introduce these rules that would allow them to basically fine their voice actors out of being able to be paid at all. So basically, so they can get free labor. So I don't think that's right at all. But again, I don't know all the facts.
And I'm hearing a lot of arguments that if they're getting residuals, and I've heard voice acting is the most comfy part of video game making. It has the most comfortable job security. It's like, should programmers also get residuals if they're getting residuals?
Job security.
Like, because the programmers and the animators are worked to death.
Mm-hmm.
And I have more worries for them.
That reminds me of a Dreamcast game, actually. It was one of the last Dreamcast games. It was on this. It was Japan only, I believe. And it was called Sagaga. Sagaga is a JRPG where it takes place in a dystopian future where only two video game companies remain: Sega and an evil Corporation X. And so basically, Sega is being bankrupted by Corporation X, and you play as a kid who has just won a contest to become the president of Sega for a day as a promotional thing. So you have to manage Sega in between, exploring the world, and you basically explore the various levels of the Sega corporate offices in Japan. So for dungeons, the dungeons are basically the computer labs for programmers. To keep programmers from leaving the company due to the dire financial situation, they can't afford to pay them, but they can't afford to lose their programmers. So they've locked all the programmers in cages, and
sounds about right.
In these dark dungeon-like rooms, and because they've been locked in these dark environments for so long, they have mutated into horrifying creatures. So they've had to lock them in cages, and so you go down there, and you fight them not with attacks, but with verbal insults. So you tell them they are worthless, that they are doing a horrible job, and they need to do better. Just like a real manager, right? So
some of them.
It's a very tongue-in-cheek game. It was never released in America, but, obviously. But
well, it's more like that over in Japan.
That reminds me of that, and
which is
it's
yeah,
it's something I want to try playing sometime. I just don't know Japanese, so.
But yeah, again, where I heard like people say that voice acting is like the most comfy part of development of a video game. I don't know how true that is. But
yeah,
this is coming.
You're yelling all the time. You got to repeat lines all the time,
But I mean, like, it's still difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's still taxing, but it's still they've got a lot more job security.
That's true,
because they have a union. And programmers and animators, they don't have a union.
Now I know.
So I
think composers do have a union.
I think,
but
they do.
There are some weird limitations. They aren't. I want to say there is a musical composers union, but they are specifically members of that union are not allowed to work on video games.
Yeah, see, that's the something about unions. There's some stupid stuff.
Oh yeah,
like actors, like you can't work with a independent
unions,
like that. Like some of an actor couldn't work with an independent. If they're part of this union, they can't work with a certain more independent films because they're not approved or some crap.
I want to say. So there's the one thing I've always thought about unions is they are the ultimate double-edged sword. There are so many good things about them. Yeah. They are necessary, but at the same time, they are a hindrance.
Sometimes they get as big and bad as the corporations themselves.
Now, this thing with the soundtrack composers union, them not being able to work on video games actually did come up at some point. Yeah. The guy who made the soundtrack for Journey, he won an what would it be what's the big award for music? Is it the Oscars?
Grammys?
The Grammys, yeah. He won a Grammy for the soundtrack for Journey. That is an award-winning soundtrack.
Wow.
It was a major milestone for video game soundtracks.
Video game music? That's not serious.
He was then kicked out of the Composers Union for having made music for a video game.
See, that...
And taking credit for it. So
they're good and bad. It's just a balancing act.
Yeah. Now,
on a less... what's the next... The less serious topic.
Yes. So Humble Bundle. Moving on. Nice segue. By the way.
Random.
Yeah, so Humble Bundle introduced a new, or is introducing a new program now. It's called Humble Monthly. If any of you are familiar with Loot Crate, it's kind of similar to that, kind of a similar idea. You pay a certain amount of money per month, and they give you free video games. Well, not free video games. They give you a random selection.
You pay to get free. What
Hey, I paid $1.50 today, and I got a free thing of Oreos. That was awesome. Anyways, yes, Humble Monthly is a subscription-based thing. I think it's like $12 a month. And on the last Friday of every month, they give you a random selection of free... Well, not... I keep saying free.
So
they give you a random selection of indie games.
There's no such thing as free. Especially when you pay for it.
Yes. So they give you a random selection of indie games last Friday of every month. It's $12 a month. I think I might check it out eventually. I don't know. But it does seem like a pretty interesting program. I'll probably wait to see what kind of stuff they end up doing with it.
Although the problem is I found 90% of the time I don't play the games I buy.
That's kind of a thing.
I buy it for like one game.
Yeah.
Like I bought the last one just for Game Maker Pro.
Yeah, same.
But I forgot to do the Android export. That's going to cost me $300 if I ever make anything. But I'll just use you.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I think that's an interesting program. I'm going to definitely check it out. I'm going to keep an eye on it, and I'll provide my thoughts on that once they actually reveal what their first set of games are. So looking forward to seeing that last Friday of the month. Moving on, we're going to talk about emergent gameplay today. Now, emergent gameplay is when you're playing a game and then you have these kind of gameplay situations that kind of come out of nowhere. They're not things that are really programmed into the game. They're things that you as a player make up. So like if you're playing Rampage, for example, there are some levels with a streetcar on the bottom, moving along the bottom of the screen. And what you can do is you can punch the streetcar and it'll start moving the opposite direction. So one thing some players have done is they'll punch the streetcar towards the other player, and then they just kind of punch it back and forth until one of them gets hit by the streetcar and it goes off screen. So that's an example of emergent gameplay. Now, Dan, do you have any specific examples of games where you've noticed emergent gameplay?
Metal Gear Solid 5.
And what kind of emergent gameplay have you noticed? Because I'm having trouble thinking of some specific examples.
Well, it's emergent in that it's not strict linear kind of, you have to kill this guy first. Or this person, or you have to do... Because you can come into any base.
Yeah.
Any way. And you can also, like, kill them with different kinds of ways. Like, you could...
There's a lot of tactical options.
Yeah, there's a lot of tactical options. In another game, Grand Theft Auto, basically, most sandbox open world games.
Oh, yeah.
Like, think of that. And I'm trying to think of a more linear game that does it.
I want to say...
Because technically, most games have emergent. Kind of a sort of emergent...
Battlefield's a really good example of its multiplayer.
Yeah, multiplayer is
a lot of emergent gameplay. But,
just inherently.
Yeah. Generally, it's mostly multiplayer games where you have a lot of different options available to you, where they just hand you mechanics and set you loose. There's like a loose set of rules, basically.
Yeah.
So games like Rampage.
There's like intended emergent gameplay, and there's unintended.
Yes.
Like unintended is like that's not how the game is supposed to.
That's like Battlefield when you like fly your jet up. You're being chased by another jet. You fly your jet up. You jump out. Pull out your rocket launcher, fire your rocket at another jet, then jump back in. You basically like try to do stunt shows and stuff like that. That's emergent gameplay, kind of, sort of. Emergent gameplay, I feel, is more, like in its most pure definition, is more of when you're playing a game and this new form of gameplay emerges, hence the name, and completely out of nowhere, not scripted by the game at all. It's just something that you've discovered. A really good example of this actually would be Destroy All Humans, the original one, or Destroy All Humans 2. I think would be a better example. It had a 2-player co-op mode in it, and what you would do is, or when they were testing it, they found it to be very fun to pick up the random humans with the telekinesis powers and just throw them back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did in response to realizing how much fun that was, it was an emergent gameplay thing that they kind of discovered.
Mm-hmm.
They actually implemented it into the game, and they had several like different people tennis events that you could do throughout the open world. So they actually had like a fully modeled tennis court, and you had to throw the people back and forth with your telekinesis powers.
I never got to play that game because it wasn't on GameCube.
Well, that sucks for you. It's actually a pretty fun game. So, I need to track down a copy of it, actually, now that I think of it.
Could have done that when we were at...
we were at a game store earlier today, yeah. But, so, can you think of any other really good examples of emergent gameplay? Because I haven't really seen too many. There aren't too many games these days that's kind of... I guess Smash Brothers has a lot of... There's the whole Smash Ball thing, if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Smash Ball is a really good example of emergent gameplay. That's where you basically create a custom stage where the only way to kill people is by hitting them into a cannon that's kind of like shaped like a basketball net, and it shoots them downwards off the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good example of emergent gameplay. And, hitting the soccer ball back and forth. One thing me and a friend did, we were checking out Mewtwo when he first released, and we would charge up a Shadow Ball and just try to hit it back and forth.
I think we did that.
I think we did that. I remember it was the week the game came out. I was playing online on the 3DS version, and I remember I was playing as Mario. The other guy was playing as Villager, and so I would throw a fireball. He'd pocket it and throw it back at me. Then I used my cape to hit it back to him. We basically played tennis for the remainder of this 4 Glory match. It was awesome. I ended up losing, of course, but
fun stuff like that.
Yeah,
it happens online.
The kind of stuff that that the programmers of the game don't intend. That's what emergent gameplay is.
Well, there's intended emergent gameplay.
What would you say is an example of intended emergent gameplay?
Like
I
said, with
Solid
5, like
okay,
they give you options.
Yeah.
And stuff like a car might drive by, and you can hop into the car.
Okay.
And go in, and then you could snipe, or you could go in and CQC.
I see what you mean.
Because I watched
Just Cause 2.
Yeah,
is
Just
really
Cause
good
in general.
Yeah. In fact, Just Cause has a lot of unintended emergent gameplay as well, as indicated by its multiplayer mods. So, people having all the races and whatnot.
3's coming out.
3 is coming out. I'm very excited. It has multiplayer built in, too. So I'm looking forward to that. Moving on, we mentioned Smash earlier. Some new DLC out for that. On the Wii U version, we saw the release of the new Mario Maker stage, which is also available in the 3DS version. Very excited about that. I've been playing that stage a lot. It is randomly generated when you play. It's very cool. The hand from Mario Maker when you're your controversial hand from Mario Maker, Daniel. It appears on the screen to fix the stage whenever you destroy blocks and whatnot, which I think is great. So, in addition to that, there was there was the pirate ship stage from Brawl based on Wind Waker.
Yeah,
it's the Great Sea. And
I was wanting that.
That is one of my favorite stages from Brawl. But one thing of interest, when you play on Omega form of that stage, instead of being on the pirate ship, you're actually on one of the watchtowers in the background.
That's what I assumed.
And you see the pirate ship sailing by in the background. It's so great.
This is fantastic game.
Now, Mario Maker on the 3DS is pretty much the same. What's really cool is it randomly generates the stage at the beginning, and then it will switch the style of the game as you play. So like, it'll start with Super Mario Bros. 3, then it'll switch to New Super Mario Bros. U, then it'll switch to something else. So that's really cool. And then on the 3DS version, they also added the Duck Hunt stage from the Wii U version as a free update. So that's very cool.
So that was 3DS.
The 3DS version only got Duck Hunt as a free update. And then they also added a bunch of new costumes. Notably, a bunch of Monster Hunter armor was added as Mii Fighter costumes. So I'm pretty excited. Monster Hunter costumes, yeah.
Wow.
So I think there's Rathalos armor and just some standard hunter armor. So that's pretty cool.
Rathalos, Monster Hunter's made its way into a few franchises.
Yeah, Dan just finished. He finally got to the end of the true ending of Metal Gear Solid 5 Peace Walker. You want to talk about?
5. You said Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yes, I meant to say Peace Walker.
It's like, no. Yeah, I got through Peace Walker.
Yes.
Good game. Fun ending. Unexpected ending.
Yes. Especially with the when he. I loved his reaction when he saw the. There's a hidden Monster Hunter bonus in there. There's a little cutscene for it as well. Snake finds one of the cats or one of the felines from Monster Hunter. A talking cat.
Meow, 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 meow.
So
I didn't understand what you said, but you sure sounded like a cat.
So, anyways, yeah, Smash Brothers, new update. Looks like I saw you open up an article over here on your computer.
Breaking news.
Yes.
Possibly.
So what have we got?
3 character slots on the latest have been
In the latest patch?
and 2 or 3 stage slots found.
So what are there any details, hints on what they might be?
Not from what I've read so far. It's hard to read well.
Well, it looks like some of that is kind of we've got some file names there. Any hints as to what that might be? Because I know the fire ballot, which was started, I think it was last year. I think
They used Mario for the placeholder.
Okay.
That's what it says.
Oh, I see.
So we don't know.
Okay.
So they've done a better job of hiding.
Well, the ballot, recently, I think it's closing
it's either
up.
ending or it's close to ending. I didn't check.
Now, for those who don't know, on the official Smash Brothers website, there's the fighter ballot, which allows you to submit the name of a character you want to see in Smash, and
It ends tomorrow.
which is
on the 3rd.
The 3rd, yes.
Which
you will have passed by the time this goes up,
Yeah.
but yeah, some really exciting stuff. I'm really excited for to see what's going to happen. I remember reading a poll recently. Not recently, it was a few months ago, but apparently the most requested, because this is like some poll on a gaming news website. They said, "Who did you vote for the fighter ballot?" And like the top result there was Shovel Knight. So I think it would be awesome if Shovel Knight makes it into Smash.
I don't know if he will, because
I am
if you look at
huge fan of Shovel Knight.
third-party characters, they're veterans.
There's been one with
of the
every
industry.
DLC, well, except for Mewtwo, but there's been one with every DLC, well, the only DLC release, I guess.
They're characters that have been around for decades.
That's true. I feel like Shovel Knight would be an interesting way for them to kind of acknowledge their indie development
Which they
scene.
used to basically shun
Yeah.
in the Wii days.
And I mean, even in the game itself, we have a Commander Video trophy. That's awesome.
So they've really embraced
Mhm.
the indie
Oh yeah, and as a member of
community.
their indie developer program, I can agree. They do very much so embrace their indie development community. They are very supportive of them. So, now this report you saw is saying there's 3 character slots
Yes.
and 2 stage slots. I think we're in for a big announcement
I hope.
this month. So we're gonna see. Now I know Nintendo's new president did say they will still be doing Nintendo Directs.
Yes.
So
I hope he's in it.
yes,
I want to meet this guy.
yes. There's already internet memes of him going just like doing his menacing look. They
I
have
don't know
his
if-
glasses glowing.
I don't know if he'll be in it, though, because it seems like he's an interim
It does seem like
CEO.
it kind of.
He's
But-
on like a one-year contract kind of deal,
Well, we'll see.
from
we'll
what
see.
I heard.
It's we're gonna see what ends up happening. I'm looking forward to it. So, what are your predictions for the Smash Ballot? Who do you think? Let's assume there's 3 characters. What 3 characters would you like to see, or do you think will be?
What I want to
And again-
see, Snake.
Snake would be cool.
I think he's up there.
With the recent release of Metal Gear Solid 5, I imagine that could be a popular character. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 5 isn't available on Nintendo consoles, but that didn't stop Snake being in. It didn't stop Snake in the love theme from Guns of the Patriots.
They have Metal Gear Solid 4 stuff in there.
Yeah, there were geckos that kind of hopping around Shadow Moses Island. It looked cool, even though that game wasn't on the Wii. So
I'd like to see Eggman.
Eggman, I don't know.
I don't think he's gonna happen.
He could like float around in his little thing like Bowser Jr. does.
Yeah, there's endless endless possibilities with him because he's smart. He knows he makes his machines, and he's got.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting. He can have like the badniks that he throws out like as a side B or something, kind of like Bowser Jr.
He's got his wrecking ball he could use.
Yeah. And your third character that you think that you would like to see.
Trying to think of a realistic kind. Well, while I'm thinking about that, what about you?
Well, my top three. I'd love to see the Wonderful 101 in the game. That's one of my favorite games in the Wii U. Platinum Games is one of my favorite developers. I'd like to also see Snake or Raiden. Raiden was in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale.
But I don't think Raiden has a chance.
Yeah, I don't think Raiden really has a chance. It would definitely be Snake.
There's
if a Metal Gear Solid character were to appear. And him being a returning fighter who's been very heavily requested by the community, I think that...
Hopefully he's nerfed.
Yes. He was pretty OP in
Brawl. We don't believe in patches on Wii.
As for my third character, I almost want to say Bayonetta, since Bayonetta 2 was published by Nintendo.
Platinum Games fanboy.
Platinum Games.
Like all these characters listed are in Platinum Games.
This is true, yes, except for Snake, but
Raiden.
I mentioned Raiden. As for, I mentioned Shovel Knight earlier. I'd probably say Shovel Knight for my third choice. Because I'd rather see... Actually, I'm going to go ahead and replace my choice for Snake with Shovel Knight.
Well, fuck you.
So I think...
I'd like to see Doom Guy.
I'm going to say the Wonderful 101, just like the entirety of them. We have... maybe kind of like a Pokemon trainer type character. So you have like it's like changing stances between the different wonderful ones. That'd be incredibly complex and horrifying.
Something unrealistic, but I'd love to see Doom Guy, because the guy, absolutely classic game franchise he's from. Doom is.
I think he's in like Super Smash Brothers Flash, isn't he?
I don't know.
I think every character is at this point,
but the original devs of that were huge Nintendo fans. But they have no part in it now.
Right.
But that would be awesome. I mean, even though it could be violent, be too violent.
While we're talking about unrealistic predictions, Pip-Boy or the Vault Boy from Fallout, I'd be up for that.
How about the guy who narrates?
He's shown holding just about every single weapon in the game in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, because he's the game's mascot. So whenever you select a weapon, it shows him holding that weapon in the menu. We have that context already.
Another big one, Bomberman.
Bomberman, I think that was really interesting.
That was like one of my number one.
Oh yeah.
Bomberman realistic.
I can see that.
Realistic.
Yeah.
It's just the problem with Konami right now, which if they don't have Snake, they're gonna have Bomberman.
Yeah.
Or they.
I can see that though. Bomberman does seem a little more realistic than Snake.
He's a unique character. I think you could do a lot with bombs.
Who else could be a really good character? I'm trying to think, because Bomberman does have a really strong history with Nintendo. With Hudson Soft and everything. We're just like looking around this room for examples at this point, but it's I don't know. But yeah, I think it would be really cool to see Snake make his return. There's some really good Metal Gear Solid music, but I'm not sure what would the Metal Gear Solid stage be. We could just bring back Shadow Moses Island, but
let's put their well,
let's say they didn't. What stage do you think they would make?
They might even go with something from 5.
Maybe Camp Omega?
Which one was that again?
That was the one in Ground Zeroes.
Doubt it.
Because I could see them doing like a flyby stage type thing.
I'd think they'd want to put a Metal Gear in there.
Yeah, maybe.
Because that's a huge...
I don't want to go into too many spoilers, but I could see a very specific location from Metal Gear Solid 5 being a stage if they want to have a Metal Gear in there. There's some...
And then they announced Metal Gear Solid 5 coming to Wii U.
That's not going to happen. So
what would your reaction be?
My reaction would be, I already bought the game.
Well, no, I think that's great.
But if they have the tablet app integrated into the gamepad, I'd probably buy it.
I think that's great, though, for people who only have a Wii U or don't have a computer powerful.
Yeah. Well, Fox Engine also isn't optimized for the Wii U. So.
Well, they have it on PS3 and 360.
That's true.
I think they can do it on Wii U.
They can probably do it on Wii U.
I don't see why not.
So,
I want to wrap this up with my theme for the month. We're doing this spooky games month.
Now, are we going to have a theme for every month? Is that what you're wanting to do, or?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
It's just...
Yeah, you're wanting to do Spooky Games Month, since it is October. It's the
calling it Spooky...
The month of Spoopy Spooks.
Spookfest.
I'm going to call it the month of Spoopy Spooks. And,
well, that doesn't really roll off the tongue.
Way too spoopy for me. But...
Wow. Lame.
Anyways, yeah, Spookfest, October Spookfest in the KCGN Podcast. That has a nice ring to it. But, we're gonna be doing a series of videos on our YouTube channel. We're going to have, I think what you're wanting to do some Let's Plays, sort of
or reviews
of some spooky games,
very spooky games,
some spoopy AF stuff.
So look for some Doom.
Yeah. Now, what else did you want to do? You said we had a couple other announcements we were going to make for future content coming from KCGN.
I don't.
We were going to talk about some of our streaming plans, I believe. I'm going to be
for $19.99. You can get the streaming package.
Well, I'm
not doing that.
I'm wanting to
streaming packages.
What I'm wanting to do is I want to do a stream of something, and I want to do like maybe some Metal Gear Solid 5 FOB invasions. Or maybe I'll do like a playthrough of XCOM. Those are usually pretty fun. XCOM Enemy Unknown, to kind of hype up XCOM 2, which I'm very excited about. So,
we're probably going to do some... I want to do some more unknown kind of games as well in the future.
Yes, and I think we also want to do like a couple of top 10 list videos and whatnot. So
like game covers.
Yes,
like some of the weirdest game covers.
Yes, and I have a very large collection of vintage video games. So believe me when I say I have seen some weird shit.
In your dad's basement.
So yeah. We got some great content kind of lined up. We're really looking forward to kind of producing this stuff for you. So definitely keep listening to the podcast. Like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps to kind of get us up there in the search algorithms.
Totally not selfish.
Yeah.
Selfish.
So yeah, definitely.
Well, if you like the content, you like it.
Like our videos if you like them. Subscribe. Like them if you don't like them. Even if you're feeling kind, it's not that great, but I support what they're doing, so just give us a like anyways. But we have some exciting stuff planned.
Leave feedback, send questions for the podcast.
We want to do some gameplay videos of some unknown games too. I think you were mentioning I think we were going to do like 1080 Avalanche on the GameCube. We're going to do. I have Zone of the Enders. We could. Do that.
That will be after Spookfest.
Yes. For Spookfest, we definitely want to focus on some spooky games, and we got some really cool stuff planned for that. So definitely stay tuned. Follow us or like us on Facebook and keep up to date
on the Twitters,
and also on the Twitter account. We're
the Twitch.
Yes, and Twitch as well. So definitely follow us everywhere. We like to be stalked, and we like to stalk.
No, we don't like to be stalked.
Because stalking is spooky, and it's the month of spooks.
Maybe Jeff does.
We don't stalk. Disclaimer for any legal authorities listening to our podcast. So, anyways, I think that just about wraps up our show for tonight.
Send us off with a spooky rap.
No,
To rap.
I'm not going to rap on the air. I cannot freestyle.
We're not really on the air though.
That's what you
This is a
think.
recording.
So,
Whoa, we're live.
anyways, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned to the KCGN Spookcast.
Yeah, Spookcast.
The
I like that.
Spookcast for some future content coming later in the month. Some future spooky content, I should say. So, yeah, I think that just about wraps up our episode for tonight. So, thanks for listening, everyone, and we will see you next time. Ooh. I was dead all along.
Oh shit.